Let's count down 7 historical figures who've been sold to us as icons, but whose darker sides were quietly shoved under the rug. Trust me, you won't see these people the same again. Number 7, Thomas Edison, the idea thief with a mean streak. You know him as the brilliant mind who gave us the light bulb, the phonograph, and allegedly progress. But behind the inventions was a man who invented something even bigger, the industrial-grade ego. Edison didn't just compete, he obliterated. If an idea wasn't his, it became his. He bullied competitors, sued smaller inventors into silence, and took credit for ideas developed by the actual geniuses he hired. Exhibit A, Nikola Tesla. Tesla worked for Edison, helped improve his electrical systems, and was promised $50,000 for his efforts. When Tesla asked for it, Edison laughed and said, "You don't understand our American humor." Yeah, nothing says humor like wage theft in a lab coat. Edison also had a personal grudge against alternating current, AC, the safer form of electricity supported by Tesla. So what did he do? He started a propaganda war, electrocuting animals on camera to show how dangerous AC was. Yes, he filmed a public execution of an elephant named Topsy, just to make Tesla look bad. So the next time someone calls Edison a genius, remember, he was less bright idea, more copyright villain with a God complex. Number 6, Winston Churchill, great speeches, questionable morals. He gave rousing speeches. He stood up to Hitler. He helped save Western civilization. Absolutely. But let's also talk about the version of Churchill that doesn't make it into the motivational posters. This is the guy who once said, "I hate Indians. They are a beastly people with a beastly religion." Yes, that Churchill. He was a proud imperialist who believed in white superiority and had absolutely no issue with starving millions in the name of empire. Exhibit B, the Bengal famine of 1943. 3 million Indians died due to food shortages and mismanagement, while Churchill continued exporting rice out of India. When questioned about the famine, he blamed the victims for breeding like rabbits. And when he did approve aid, he made sure it went to white colonies first, because, priorities. Also worth noting, Churchill supported chemical weapons, especially on uncivilized tribes, and once suggested using them on Kurdish rebels. So yes, he rallied a nation during wartime. But he also clung to racist colonial beliefs, cost millions of lives, and managed to stay charming while doing it. A complex figure? Absolutely. A flawless hero? Not even close. Number 5, Mother Teresa, the saint with a pain fetish. You probably grew up hearing about her compassion, the Saint of Calcutta, a Nobel Prize winner, a living embodiment of selflessness. But the truth? A little messier, actually a lot messier. Mother Teresa didn't just help the poor. She helped keep them suffering. She believed that pain was beautiful and that suffering brought people closer to Jesus, which might sound poetic until you realize her clinics were underfunded, unsanitary, and denied basic medication, even when money was pouring in. She had millions in donations, but patients were often left without morphine or basic hygiene because she felt pain was a blessing. And when she got sick, she didn't go to her own clinics. She went to a private hospital in California with doctors and painkillers. She also cozied up to dictators like the Duvaliers of Haiti, calling them friends of the poor, despite them literally looting their country's wealth. So was she devoted? Sure. But to what exactly? Helping people or preserving their misery in the name of divine suffering? Let's just say not every halo is earned. Some are self-issued, with PR teams. Coming up next, a peaceful activist with disturbing private habits, a revolutionary icon who'd execute you for tweeting, and a great explorer who probably invented genocide tourism. Stick around, it only gets darker. Number 4, Mahatma Gandhi, peaceful but also problematic. Yes, Gandhi, the loincloth-wearing, salt-marching, nonviolent icon of peace. But if you peel back the Ahimsa nonviolence posters, there's some very uncomfortable fine print. For starters, Gandhi was openly racist during his early years in South Africa. He referred to black Africans as Kafirs, a racial slur, and protested being treated like them. His logic? Indians were higher class. Nice. Later in life, he championed celibacy but tested his willpower by sleeping naked next to his teenage nieces. Yes, you heard that right. He called it spiritual experimentation. Historians today call it deeply disturbing and wildly inappropriate. Also, Gandhi wasn't too progressive on women's rights. He believed menstruating women were impure and should stay away from temples. So, yeah, nonviolence? Inspiring. But morally flawless? Absolutely not. He fought British oppression, but brought plenty of his own issues to the table. Number 3, Che Guevara. Iconic, but only on t-shirts. Che is the poster boy of rebellion, literally. He's on mugs, murals, and every third college student's hoodie. But let's look at the actual man, not the screen print. Che wasn't just a freedom fighter. He was also the judge, jury, and executioner of Cuba's early revolution. He personally oversaw hundreds of executions without trial at La Cabana prison because nothing says justice like a firing squad before breakfast. He hated capitalism. He also hated free speech, democracy, and gay people. He supported Cuba's labor camps for social deviance, and the revolutionary utopia he envisioned, it involved rationing, military rule, and absolutely no dissent. Also, fun fact, he was bad at economics. When put in charge of Cuba's national bank, he literally signed the currency with Che instead of his full name. Because nothing says stable currency like graffiti signatures. So yes, Che was bold. But he also crushed opposition, enforced conformity, and helped build a system that left Cubans poor and voiceless. The irony? He'd probably hate how commercialized his face has become. Number 2, Christopher Columbus, the original genocide tourist. You were told he discovered America. He actually got lost and landed in the Bahamas, but what he did discover? New and creative ways to be an absolute monster. Columbus wasn't just an explorer, he was a colonizer with a cruelty kink. He enslaved natives, forced them to mine gold, and chopped off their hands if they didn't bring enough. Thousands were worked to death. Many women and girls were sold into sex slavery. Oh, and when the locals tried to resist, he had them dismembered, burned alive, or fed to dogs. Even his own men complained, and when your 15th century crew, who's used to blood and plagues, says, "You've gone too far, you've really gone too far." So while Columbus Day parades wave flags, history quietly whispers, this guy jump-started centuries of suffering. He didn't just discover land, he discovered systematic oppression with a branding problem. Number 1, King Leopold II, Belgium's blood-soaked billionaire. And now we arrive at the final boss of historical horror. A man whose PR team must have worked overtime to keep him out of more textbooks. King Leopold II of Belgium didn't just rule, he owned the Congo, personally as a humanitarian project. Spoiler, it was anything but. Under Leopold's rule, the Congo Free State became a slave labor death camp disguised a colony. Villagers were forced to collect rubber if they didn't meet quotas. Banks were chopped off. Families were taken hostage. Entire communities were wiped out. Reports say up to 10 million Congolese died during his reign through starvation, murder, disease, and sheer brutality. And what did Leopold gain from it? Money, power, a new palace, a golden statue or two. What did the world do? Mostly looked away. By the time the truth got out, the damage had been done, and even then, Belgium downplayed it for decades. King Leopold wasn't just a villain. He was a corporate colonial overlord who industrialized horror before anyone else had thought of it. He doesn't just top this list, he buries it in red tape, blood, and rubber profits. So what have we learned? Sometimes history's biggest names were also its biggest nightmares, dressed up in robes, medals, or saintly smiles. The point isn't to cancel the past, it's to understand it without the sugarcoating. If this shook your faith in your high school history class, hit that like button, subscribe for more uncomfortable truths, and comment below which figure surprised you the most and why didn't we learn this sooner. See you in the next video. Until then, stay curious and keep questioning the so-called greats.